All right, welcome students. Today I'm going to do a demonstration to show you how to use Google Scholar to find papers that you're going to read that will become the sources that you cite in the paper that you are going to write. You can look for sources in a lot of different places like we discussed in the other lessons. You have Web of Science, Scopus, PubMed, just to name a few, but I'm going to show you Google Scholar. And I'm going to show you how Google Scholar interfaces with a reference managing software called EndNote, and I'm going to show you how EndNote, reference managing software, interfaces with Microsoft Word. So if you use these three tools together, it's going to save you a lot of time up front, and it's going to save you a lot of time formatting your references, and it's going to save you a ton of time if you have to reformat your references later, like if you change target journals or if you have to resubmit to a different journal. What we're going to do first is we're going to search for a topic. So let's say you're just starting in a field and you don't know much about this field. So this would be the case for me in this topic, and I want to know the effect of earthworms on plant root growth. I'm just going to type those terms: earthworm, plant root growth, hit return, and so, well, that was pretty easy. Actually, we got 46,900 results, but the first one is basically right on topic. Okay, it doesn't usually happen that easily, but there you go. Okay, the problem is that this article is a bit old. It's from 2003, and currently we're at 2019 or 2020, so that's a long time ago. I want to restrict my search to newer articles, and also I don't want to have to look through 47,000 titles. Okay, so I want to tune this down to a smaller amount. So the first thing I'll do is unclick this include citations. Okay, that took it down by 700. It's still over 46,000 results though, so that's too many. I'm going to only consider papers that were published in 2015 or later at this point. Now, once we find a few key articles, I'll show you how Google Scholar can allow you to expand your search older than that and also newer than that. So restricting it right now is not going to cause you to miss anything once you do your extended search. So I'll just click since 2015. That brings it down to 16,000 results. Okay, that's still a lot to look through. But just to keep the demonstration moving, what we're going to do is say, well, I really like root traits and root biomass allocation impact how wheat genotypes respond to organic amendments and earthworms. Okay, so there's a lot going on there. We've got the genetic component of the wheat plants and how that affects the way they grow and how that affects the way they respond to earthworms. So that could be a good starting point. That was published in 2018. And so what I'm going to do is say I think I want to look at that one more closely. So the first thing I want to do, if I'm interested in that paper, is to put it into my reference library. So I want to build up my reference library as I'm doing the search process. So I'm just going to grab everything that looks like it's interesting. If I don't cite it later, I can delete it from the library or just leave it there. It won't hurt anything to leave it there. So the way to put that into your library is to go here, these little quotation marks, and click on that. So when we click that, this window pops open, and you see it's got the reference for this paper in a few different styles where you can click and copy and paste those. But at the bottom, you see some hyperlinks here where you can dump this reference into some different reference managing software. So BibTeX, EndNote, RefMan, and RefWorks. Today we're going to be looking at EndNote. So all you have to do is click on EndNote, and it's going to download that reference. I'll take it from my downloads, drop it into EndNote, and there it is. So here's the reference. This is the start of my reference library, so I can click on that, and what we see is it's imported all of the authors, the year, the title, the source, so the journal it came from, the volume, the issue, the page numbers, and down here in this window you can see what the reference is going to look like when you put it in your paper. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is switch back over to Google Scholar. You can close this. And so this is the paper we just looked at. Now, if you look over to the right, it says html@plos.org. So if I want to read that paper, I can click this link right here, and that is going to go to PLOS One journal. And there it is. So I can download the PDF by clicking this, or if I go over to this little down arrow, I can also get the citation here. So if I didn't want to pull it out of Google Scholar, I could pull it from the journal's website also. Now, this is the paper we've been dealing with. Alright, so if that's our starting point, now what we can also do is look at papers that have cited this paper. And at the time I'm recording this, it's still pretty recent, so it's only been cited twice. But if I click on that, I'm going to do it by opening a new tab. So I open that in a new tab, switch over to it, and we can see that the two papers have cited that. And if I read the titles of those, I can see one of them is more about the wheat varieties than it is about earthworms. And the other one is looks like it's more about root functional traits, not so much about earthworms. Okay, so this time the papers that cited that one kind of struck out, but usually that will give you some good results. The other thing you can do here is click on related articles. Again, I'll open that in a different tab. And so you can see we got 101 of those related articles. So you could scroll through here, and just glance at the titles. But again, a lot of times that will give you some more leads onto important related articles. So I'll close that tab. Now we're back to this article again. The other thing you can do here is you see some of the names of the authors are underlined. And so if they're underlined, then those are links. So if we go to the last author, usually in this field, the last author is usually the professor or the leader of the group. So if we click the name, we'll see all the other articles that Stephen Fonte has published. So here we go, earthworm populations in California tomato cropping systems. Okay, that looks pretty good. So, and we can get the PDF of this paper by clicking here and it'll take us to ResearchGate, or if we click the title, that's going to take us directly to the journal. So if you're a university student or postdoc and you're on campus, you probably your library has access to this. And let's choose this one for from 2003 and just look at the articles that have cited that one, because that one's really exactly what I was looking for. Effects of earthworms on plant growth. So 390 papers have cited this one since 2003. I'll click on that. And the other thing you can do when you go into it that way is you can search within the citing articles. So now let's say I want to search only for ones that do have this word, earthworm or earthworms. And most of them do. 354 of them do. Okay, so I'm just going to cite a few of these.